Hi there guys, Gary here for GenVFX, once again here to talk about Blender, of course, because I love it. I actually do. I am originally a Maya user. I still do use Maya in my day-to-day life, but I've incorporated a lot more Blender into my personal work life and also into a little bit occasionally into my work life. If I need to build something sometimes, there are ways of building things quicker in Blender. I'm sure I'll come and mention it at some point, but for now, that's not the reason why we're here. We're here to talk today about textures. So here we are, we're in, I just should get the splash screen up so you can see we're in Blender 2.9. With that in mind, let's get into this. Let's just click that, get out of that. Now what I'm going to do is I do like the default cube. Who doesn't like the default cube? It's the reason why we love Blender. I've got a box, I've got a camera, and I've got a light. What is there not to love? Nothing. Right, okay, but I don't want it. Ooh, yes or no, go away. Delete, vanish. I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to bring in a UV sphere. And I'm going to pop this bit open, and I'm going to set this to 64. I'm going to set that to 32 because I do like a few more little points on my stuff. So let's change that to shade smooth again. So that's really nice, sweet, and lovely. And I'm going to put it up 1. So I'm going to go GZ1. There you go. Nice and quick and simple. Oh, and what I will do as well, by the way, is I'm going to very quickly. I'm going to turn on the screencast keys so that you can see what I'm pressing. I installed it. It's the version for 2.83, but it still works in 2.9, so that's good to know. Let's go back to our item. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add another object. I'm just going to stick a floor in of some description. So let's go add mesh, and we're going to drop in a grid. I'm going to pop into tab. I'm going to go S2. We're going to press enter. And press tab again to pop out. So just got a floor. It's a bit small. Let's do this again. So go edit. So we're in S2 to make it bigger than that. It's more like it. And then we'll press out of that and press tab. So there we are. Just a ball and on a floor. So what I'm going to do now is I want to add some materials to this. And it's very, very simple shading. Just purely because it's just got to explain what I want to explain about the texturing. So I'm going to pick this ball. In fact, let's pick the floor first and go new, and we'll make this got something with a darker base color like this, and make it slightly metallic, and then reduce the roughness. Oh, and we also go into here, into the settings over here, and we turn. Whoops, sorry. We're in Eevee, which is great. Let's turn on cast screen reflections so we can see the ball in the grid. That's nice. Doesn't look quite perfect. It isn't, but that's okay. Let's turn up the viewport settings to 32 for the sake of argument. And I'm going to leave that just like that. That's fine. That's all I'm going to do, just some sort of floor. And I'm very quickly also going to go into the, oops, here, go back in here. I'm going to use the scene lights. And I'm going to change that to basically the studio lighting. I just love the studio lighting. It's just, it helps. I find it really helps a lot in modeling. I know a lot of people turn on all the cavity and the values and stuff, but I'm generally trying to go for something that I can see for real. So what we're going to do right now is just going to talk what it is I want to talk about, basically, which is some of the texture maps, some of the procedural texture maps inside of here do some quite interesting stuff that if you don't actually think to look for it, but you wouldn't necessarily think to look for it, you wouldn't even know it was there unless you've seen it in the docs. Now, I've seen this stuff in the docs before, and it is just vanished away in my mind. I've just forgotten every single time. But actually, it's particularly clever and particularly useful. So some of the textures have something. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. So let's bring one up. I'm going to drop in a Musgrave. It's particular favor. I don't know why I said that. It's a particular favourite, and I'm going to basically, because I added the node wrangler, which by the way is you go edit, preferences. And up here, you type in node. No, I can't even spell it. And there it says node wrangler. I'm just going to drop this into the base color so we can see. I've put it on the wrong thing because I'm a fool. Let's just get rid of that from there. Put this one here. Add one to those. Here we go. I'll try this again. So here we go. We're going to drop this into the base color, and now we can see that on the sphere. I press Control T, and that creates me all of my texture setup. So I'm going to change that first of all to multifractal because it's actually a bit better than the FBM. I do like it. I know it's the source, pretty much the starting point for the planet shader, but this is not come from the planet shader. I'm lying. No, I'm not. So we've got to change that from point to texture. We've got texture coordinates mapping, and we've got 3D and multifractal. And let's just increase the scale, increase the detail, reduce the dimension. Now what I want to talk about is not the scale, not the detail, not the dimension, not the linearity. I want to talk about this 3D value here. You've got a load of values in here. You've got 1D, 2D, 3D, and 4D. Now 1D essentially means you've got a one-dimensional texture map, which you can't really see at all because it's only running in one dimension. I don't quite know what that dimension is, but it ain't visible. If you change that to 2 dimensions, you'll see this on essentially one plane. But because it's on a 3D object and it's using generated world coordinate space, it's showing it as if it's a top-down projection on 2 axes, one this way and one that way. We know that, which is why you're not really getting anything vertically apart from the stretch as it's passing through the object to the other side. Of course, you fix that by going 3D. Now you can see it's there, it's absolutely everywhere. So what the heck is 4D? If everything's already there, what could you possibly get from that? And this is where you have to think of this in terms of mathematics. The first one was in a single dimension. The second one gives you it in 2 dimensions. The third one gives it in 3 dimensions. And the fourth one gives you 4 dimensions. Now, there is a 4th dimension, and we are living it all the time. It is, in fact, time. So I'm going to put on this onto 4D, and immediately you'll see something called W appears. Now, what does W mean? I don't know, because I haven't looked it up. But what I can tell you is, essentially, that is a seed value, or that is an animating value. What I mean by seed is it will take the texture map and animate it over time. That's referred to in a lot of cases as seeding, as well as just animation over time, basically. But in different software, things have different names. But I've always liked the word seethe. When you animate a texture map in Fusion, it's called seethe. But it's nice. It just means it gives it a boil. And I'm going to show you how to do that, basically. Because the values, if I just change this in here, it's moving too fast. You don't get a chance to see it because the values are so small. So I'm going to go to the bottom corner until I get the cursor, little crosshair. I'm going to drag this up. I'm going to change this one here, just very quick. Come on, where have you gone? Where's it gone? Change this, here. Oh, my fingers. Change this here to the timeline. So we can see our timeline frame range, which is 1 to 250. And I'm going to get myself at 1, which I am there, 1. And I'm going to put a keyframe, insert a keyframe in the W there. I'm going to go across to the end here. In fact, let's just type it in here, 250 to be sure we're on the frame. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to type 0.5. It's for a big change. And I'm going to press I, or you can right click and then replace keyframe or insert keyframe. Or you can actually just press I as your cursor is over the value, and it will store a value in there. So if I go back here now and I press play, if you watch, look at that. That is boiling. That's lovely. And if I'll just zoom in so you can see it a bit better. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Really great. Now, I don't think it loops. I can't see it looping. I think it's just because it's time. It's not cyclical. It's just linear. And when I say linear, I just mean it moves in one direction or the other. So you can animate the values, positive to negative, negative to positive, whatever, and you'll still get an animation. But you can't make it loop. Not without doing some funky stuff. But we can always come back to that at some point. So, as you can see, this is seething. And while it is seething, let's just do some alterations, because that's still, we've got more control over this than we think in terms of doing stuff while it's animating. That's one of the things I love so much about Blender, is we can do so much whilst things are still running. Even on a low-powered machine, you can do all of, you can change these values. So let's just make this feel a little bit more There we go. There we go. A little bit, not so much cloudy, but more like misty, I suppose, is the way to look at that. I think that's probably a nice way to think about it. But what I am going to do as well is I'm going to add another noise pattern in there. Now, here's the thing. It's not just the Musgrave that can do this. No, in fact, there are 4 textures in here that do this, and I'll very quickly show you them all. The noise texture, does it? Anything that says 3D will do this sort of thing. Okay, so for example, if I take the factor of this and just drop that in there for now, or even if I wanted to be even a little bit more slicker, what I'll do is I just do this and I'll go Control Shift and click on this. It just gives us a viewer. So you can see here, if I change this to 4D, let's increase the scale of that, let's ramp up the detail, stick in a bit of distortion, and reduce the roughness. If we change this to 4D, and then I cycle here, you see you get this animation of noise. It's very, very nice. It's very, very useful. So I'm going to leave that there. We'll come back to that. I'll come back to that, but I'll just show you the other ones as well. Go into texture as well. Go into white noise. White noise also does this. So if I take this and I go Control Shift and drop like that, what I can do is I can also put Control T, and then I can drop in the mapping coordinates just like this. And then if you can see here, there's our white noise. It's teeny tiny. And then if I change that to 4, what happens is, as I do this, it's a boil. It's a tiny little noise boil, which adds just this. It can add just a teeny tiny amount of information, just like teeny tiny little pinpricks. So that's it's pretty good. So we've got that one. Sorry, we've got our noise. We've got let's just get rid of these for the time being. We've got our other noise. Yep. Also, oh wow, that's it's not nice. So we've got our wave, and we just pop this. Control Shift and key to get that back in there. And then so we've got noise, we've got white noise, we've got the Musgrave, and then also, and again, I champion this bad boy, it's the voronoi. I love this voronoi texture. Control Shift and click, and you can see obviously what's going on here. Because it's happened to all of them, it just connects it into the view. And then if that's using the distance, so but again you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, put on 4, we get the W. Finger on Shift, I'm just going to push that so you can get this spotting kind of texture that comes through that. It's actually lovely when you get it with the colour. If I just connect that to the colour, if you do this way, and then let's go through here, just hang up with the finger on Shift, just drag through, and you can see the sort of things that you have going on here. Now, it is random. It kind of feels as though it's not entirely random, but it is. So that's really quite lovely. Again, it can be used to you get some very interesting effects. Let's just get that back to where it was. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this voronoi. I could use the noise. I'll use the noise. I'm going to use the noise. So come out. So at the moment, if we just remember, we can use this running. I'm going to leave this running as it's going. In fact, I think at the moment we have a slight issue with the fact that the animation of this balls shader. That's just going to change. Let's just drag this up here and give ourselves a shader editor so I can see what's going on. Pick the ball, pick that Musgrave, and so we can see the animation of this value. Change it from a dope sheet to a graph editor, and then select that, go I, and we can see that point there, and that point there. Let's press the dot again, sorry, not I, the dot on the keypad, which is the, looks like the full stop, pretty much is, and we're going to go T, and we're going to go linear. So we get a linear animation there. Let's just get a shot of that fade in, fade out that we were getting before. So this is now, press, not set up to press on spacebar, but you can see that's boiling away there. So what we're going to do is we're going to very quickly take this noise texture and we're going to add vector math, because that's the best way to do this. So I'm going to take the color of this and drag that and drop that to vector, because color is a RGB value, it's already a vector. And so you can see that's fracturing our map, which is still boiling. Just going to scale it down a tad. Let's add some more into the roughness, just a little bit more. Release some of that distortion, and let's just wind back in. Leave the detail where it is now. You can see that what we've done there is actually fractured our Musgraves animation, which is fine. Still keeps it nice and smoky. But I now want to do something here. I want to do a little bit of this in there as well at the same time. Let's just stop this now, just for the sake of argument. I'm going to set this to 0, and I'm going to press I while I'm over it, and I'm going to get myself the frame to 50. I'm going to set that to 0.5, and I'm going to press I over that as well. And then I'm going to very quickly go to animation, and we need to now move across to this node, and we select that point. At that point we go T, and we press linear, so it straightens that out. Let's go back to our shading again, and then if we just play this through, you'll see we've got two sets of boiling basically combining together using vector coordinates. I can still press Ctrl T to change the mapping on that if I want to, but I don't want to change the mapping on that. I'm happy with that. That looks really lovely. So that's kind of like this wonderful seething, boiling thing that's all coming out from this particular Musgrave. So we could just very quickly go, right, let's make this a little bit more metallic. Let's up the specular. Let's reduce the roughness so it feels like it's a glass ball. Let's go into the converter, and let's do a map range. And immediately that'll clamp all our colors, because what we're trying to do now is just reset what comes out of the Musgrave's height. So I'll increase this value until I get little peaky highlighty bits. That's better. Not what highlights, sorry, peak whites, and reduce them, increase the minimum to 0.1. Oh, that was a bit high. 1. So that feels like it's like something going on inside of a ball. We like that. But let's now go into color. No, sorry, converter. And get a color ramp and drop that in. So now we've got values back again like we did on the planet one. We've got the values from 0 to 1. So let's make this very dark red. Very dark, very deep red. I barely want to be able to see it. That's better. And this we will leave as a white. I can maybe change the value a little bit higher so it appears to be whiter, but it don't want it any whiter. In here, let's put, and I swear I haven't decided what I'm doing here. I think I've got a rough idea in my head. So let's make that sort of yellowy, goldy colour. That's better. And then here, let's make this some sort of orange. And then let's increase the saturation a bit on that. And then let's put another one in there. And let's make that a bit redder. Let's shift it into the reds. And then I'm just going to go up, pick that one, and then put one in between those. And the value of that is a little high, so let's bring that down. No, let's put it back where it was. And then let's put it into, make it hyper yellow. And then what we can do is let's push these up. Bring this up. Let's try and get this a bit yellowier. A bit yellowier. There we go, that's better. So it's almost like boiling fire. So imagine sort of like someone having this sitting sort of like in a plinth, or just very quietly, you know, on a desk just going ooh, and that is basically just by using texture maps. I mean, come on, who doesn't love a procedural texture map when you can do stuff like that with it? I mean, right now I want to put a little bit of table proper under there, like some sort of proper wood. We could do proper wood, and then a candle maybe over here. I mean, you can go to town. I just go to town. I haven't got time. I'm trying to keep these things short, and I'm not really doing a very good job of it. Let's just pick that light and bring it down. Oh yeah, oops, a little bit too close. pull back, pull back. Also, you see, of course, procedural. How close can we get to this? Very close. Ooh, it's almost like the Eye of Sauron. Oh, I've made the Eye of Sauron. Oh, that's a bit scary. Ooh, you shall not pass. Copyright. Not me. So there you have it, really. That's one thing that you can do with a texture map which you may not know about. You can animate them beautifully in here. You can also, if you want to, animate things into the displacement. All you've got to do, obviously, is make sure that in your rendering setups, if you've got this and you've set it to cycles, you've turned on experimental. Otherwise, it ain't going to work properly. And until everything nodes, you can't really plug these textures into the displacement modifier. But when that happens, that will be something else. And it's not far away now. It's not far away at all. Anyway, I shall very quickly get back to Eevee on that, and hopefully, I might even render something up. But go to town, have some fun, build stuff, do things, make things in Blender, make them wonderful. Let me know if you want me to make anything. We'll show you how to do something. If I don't even know, I will go out there and look for it and find it, and then we'll all know. And isn't that what this is all about? Really? Sharing? Absolutely, it's about sharing. It's about getting information out there, getting people to learn what they can do with Blender, making it a part of their daily work arsenal. I don't like using that word. It just sounds arsenal. It's not a nice word, is it? But getting things for everyone to have a play with and everyone to use. I mean, this is just, how much fun is it just doing this sort of stuff? I mean, what is that? I've barely been on here like 20 minutes, and we have this. Anyway, please subscribe if you want to see any more. If there's anything you want me to do or anything you think I could pass over to you information-wise, please get in contact. I am only 2 in, and I'm already loving doing this. It reminds me, I used to teach a long time ago, teach people how to use Maya, and not that long ago actually. And he said, and it's just so much fun. Being able to do this and pass over the information to you guys. Anyway, listen, have a great time. Please subscribe, look after yourselves, and hopefully we'll speak soon. Bye.